Hey, what's going on everyone? So today we're going to be testing out the Solarpowa100 portable solar generator power station, the Solarpowa100 watt solar panel, and the really small portable 36 watt BigBlue solar panel. So I had to hurry up and get this video out there to tell you guys about two promotions that they are having with these. The first one is, hold on, I don't want to get this wrong guys. So the first one is a BigBlue giveaway where you can win one of these solar generators. They're giving away 2 of these bigger panels, and they're also giving away 3 of the small 36 watt ones and 15 $20 off coupons. So you guys want to make sure you enter this giveaway if you want to try to win some free stuff. So what they're going to do is they're going to post the event on July 8th on the BigBlue official social media account. Now, I don't know what that means. They didn't say exactly. I think maybe it might be Twitter or Instagram, possibly. If I find out more information, I'll put it down below in the description. Let's see what the rules are. It says to participate, you got to comment, forward, like on the event post, and you'll have an opportunity to win one of these prizes. So that's the first event they got coming up. And again, that is on July 8th through the 15th, and they will announce winners on July 20th. Now, the second event they have is going to be for Amazon Prime Day, and that's going to be the Amazon Prime and BigBlue Summer Day event. So the sale is going to be from July 12th to July 13th, and basically it's going to be about 20% off on one of these on the bigger panel, and I believe 21% off of this smaller one. So if you guys are interested in purchasing one of these after watching this video and think it's something that might be right for you, you might want to wait till that event to save you guys a few bucks. And I will put affiliate links down below where I'll receive a small commission if you guys do use those links, and that's what helps support this channel. Thanks guys in advance. But make sure you guys watch this video first to see if it's right for you. Hope you guys enjoy and find it interesting. Now, I am going to do some more testing with the solar panel and this in the future because I didn't get a lot of time to test the panel. The panel actually just arrived today. The video clips you're going to see here are of the past week of me doing some testing with this and some testing with the smaller one. And there is one limitation to this that I found, so make sure you guys continue to watch to see what that is. Now, there is going to be a good bit in this video, and it may end up a little bit long. I'll try to put timestamps down below to each section so that you guys can just jump right to one specific spot in the video if you're interested in just the panel, just the power station, or the bigger solar panel. So let's get into it, guys. Thanks for watching. All right, so we're testing out the 36 watt BigBlue little portable solar panel, and we're going to be testing it out with the BigBlue power station Solarpowa100. The open circuit voltage, I don't know if you guys can see this, it's about 24.5 volts, somewhere around 24.5 to 25 volts. We're going to go ahead and plug it in and see how much power we can get into this power station. Now, it's going to be hard for you guys to see this. The screen is not very bright at all during the daytime here outside. It's pulling in 35 watts, so really not too bad, guys, for a 36 watt panel to be outputting 35 watts. That's really good. Now, one thing I do want to note is if you do shade one of these panels, you pretty much lose all output. So I'm shading the one there, and it's down to 9 watts. So if you close 2 of these panels and shade 2, you will lose all power coming from this panel. So these are wired in series, not in parallel, just something to keep in mind. So you want those in full sun for them to work good. If it gets shady, I've seen this drop down to about 9 to 10 watts, even less. So make sure you guys keep it out in the open sun like it is today, sun shining bright, and you should pull in around 34 to 35 watts out of that panel in full sunlight. And one thing that's really nice, it has a nice reflective strip down here in the middle, so when you have this thing setting out, it's easily able to be seen. If somebody was pulling in or walking by, they're not going to trip over it because of the reflective stripe in the center. And this is a PET panel, guys, not ETFE. One of the best features about this little 36 watt panel is the size and portability of it. When this thing's folded up, it only measures about 7.5 inches tall by 14 inches wide. So really nice, small, compact, and portable. So if you wanted to take something along with you just for charging cell phones, iPads, or possibly a laptop, this might be a nice option for you. They give you a nice pouch on here where you have a USB-A output, a USB-C output, and also a 5525 output. They give you little pouches here that store the additional connectors that they give you. Now, these go 5525 in this end, then you can adapt to 8mm and all different adapters for different size power stations, which is really nice. And they give you a USB-A to a USB-C cable as well. It would have been nice to see them give you a USB-C to C. This does not come with it. You guys could purchase one of those separately, I guess. But these adapters are pretty nice. So we're gonna go ahead and plug into here and see what kind of output we can get from these. All right guys, I got the USB-C plugged directly into my iPad. It's charging it really good. I'm currently at 69%. I'm getting 12.3 volts, 18.6 watts out of this panel into my iPad according to my meter. And then when I open it up and actually use the iPad, if it's not in sleep state, it's actually using 12.4 volts, 24 watts going to the iPad. So really good output from this panel going directly into an iPad. No issues at all here. But we'll let this go for a minute and see if it goes up. All right, so it's been about 5 minutes. Let's see where we're at. 74%. So it went from 69 to 74%, 5%, and about a percent per minute, charging at 18.6 watts. All right, now I got the USB-C plugged directly into the BigBlue's USB input. These are both input outputs, and I'm getting 24 watts. You guys probably can't see that, but really good, getting a little bit more power output than what the specs actually say. The specs say that USB-C output is a max of 12 volts, 1.67 amps at 20 watts, and I'm getting 24 watts. So really nice on that, guys. All right, so one negative about this panel is you're supposed to be able to use the USB-C and the USB-A port at the same time for a total of 5 volts, 4.8 amps, and 24 watt max. However, I have both the USB-A and the USB-C port plugged into this, and I'm only getting 5 watts. Now, if I unplug it from USB-C, I'll get a total of 14 watts out of the USB-A port. I wish you guys could see the screen, but if I plug them both in, it goes down to 5 to 6 watts, and if I unplug the USB-A port, then I'll get a total of 24 watts out of the USB-C. So if you guys can, I would adapt from USB-C to whatever you're plugging into and just use the USB-C port because you'll get up to 24 watts. But if you try to use both the USB-A and C, it will not work correctly. But using one individual port, either the A or the C by itself, does work well. All right, so I got the USB-C plugged into my MacBook Pro, and if you guys can see this, it's 12.2 volts, 23.6 watts. So it is charging my MacBook Pro at right around 23 to 24 watts. So now one thing that is nice though is now I have the USB-C port powering my iPad, and I have the 5521 cable plugged into the BigBlue, so I'm using the 12 volt and the USB-C. It is outputting power from both. I'm getting 17.2 watts into the iPad, and I'm getting another 7 to 8 watts into the BigBlue. So that's right around 25 watts total coming out of here. So pretty nice that you're still able to get a few watts out of the 5525 cable while using the USB-C port. Another thing I want to show you guys real quick is the 36 watt BigBlue panel will not work with the NextPow portable power station here. You can see it just flashes on the screen and never really charges. If I turn it on here, you can see there's really no input and it keeps flashing on and off. Now, this is rated for 10 to 28 volts of input. This is putting out about 25 volts open circuit voltage, so it should charge this, but that's probably a limitation of the NextPow, not a limitation of the solar panel. Not sure why it's not working with that, but it is not working, guys. So do not purchase this panel to charge up a NextPow. You can charge the NextPow from the USB-C. You just can't charge it from the 5525 cable for some reason, but you're able to get about 21 watts into the NextPow through the USB-C port. So it is doable, but it will take a pretty long time to charge this up at only getting 20 watts of input. So now the Cellpowa 500 by BigBlue is rated for 537.6 watt hours. According to my test that I did running my flat screen 55-inch TV and charging up some Hichica batteries, I drained this thing down to 0% and I got 440 watt hours total out of this unit, which is about 81.8% efficient, which isn't too bad coming out of the AC outputs. And I ran my new Air portable 12 volt refrigerator off of this thing for over 16 hours with no problem, filled completely full with room temperature bottles, and it ran consistently, never shut off after the 12-hour period. Now it does state in the manual that it does shut off if it doesn't sense a load after 12 hours, but like I said, I had it hooked to that refrigerator for over 16 hours and it continued to run flawlessly. Now on the front of this, we have a 12-volt cigarette lighter port, which is rated for 10 amps. There's two 5521 outputs on the front, which is rated for 12 volt 5 amps, and a 5525 input here for your solar, which has, like I said, a max input of about 3.6 amps according to my testing. Definitely not over 4. You have two quick charge 3.0 ports here and two power delivery in and outputs for up to 60 watts each. Then you have your two 120 volt 500 watt outlets here. There's only one ground hole here. It's not actually grounded, but you will only be able to have one grounded plug plugged in at a time. And these are rated for 500 watts of output. The handle on top is pretty neat because you could pop it down to make it flat. Now there is still a little bit of an arch on here, so you're really not going to be able to set much up on here. It would have been nice to see it being flat. That way you could set a phone or another one of these on top of each other or whatnot. But you can just pull it up to carry it and push it down to retract it. Now on the back side, it does have a pretty nice LED light. You just hold the button to turn it on. There's a high mode, there's a low mode, and an SOS mode. And it uses about 4 watts on high and about 2 watts on low. And here are all the other specs for you guys. So another thing that's nice about this is it does have the lithium iron phosphate battery, so you can get up to 2,000 charge cycles and it still remain at 80% capacity, and it's also way safer than lithium ion batteries. Really nice to see this technology. It does make them a little bit heavier and a little bit bulkier, but I definitely would rather have one of these than those just for the safety alone. This power station comes with a USB-C to USB-C cable, a cigarette lighter adapter so you could charge from your vehicle, and like I said, the 24 volt 4 amp output charger, and a nice little carry case for you to carry all these accessories around with you. Guys, this is ridiculous, but I have to show you this way so that you guys can see the screen. But I wanted to show you one flaw or limiting factor that I found on the BigBlue Cellpowa 500. And when I'm using this 36 watt panel, when the panel is shaded, the wattage goes down to about 10 watts, and I'll show you that here. So I'm getting 34 watts right now, and when the panel is shaded, go ahead bud, shade it. Now it will go down to, you know, 5 watts or whatever, very minimal output in the shading with that panel, which is normal. But when you move back out of the shade and it's not shaded anymore, the input only goes back up to 10 watts. It never goes back up to 30 some watts unless you unplug it, plug it back in, and then it goes back up to the 33, 34 watts that I was getting before. So that's a big limiting factor of the BigBlue. When it gets shaded, it never comes back up to full power unless you unplug it and plug it back in. And that is not a flaw of the panel. That is a design flaw in the BigBlue, because I tested it with my Bluetti EB55. I'll show you real quick here. So on the EB55, you can see I'm getting 31 watts. All right, go ahead, shade it, bud. Okay. When it gets shaded, it goes down to 3 watts. All right, unshade it. And when he unshades it, it does come back up 25 watts there, 31 watts. So working with the Bluetti, the wattage comes back up, but when you do that same test with the BigBlue Cellpowa 500, once it goes down from shading, it never comes back up. But we're gonna try this with my X-Star solar panel, and we're gonna see if it does the same thing with that. All right guys, so now we're trying this with my X-Star SP100 panel. You can see the max input that I'm able to get because of the 4 amp input limit is around 69 to 70 watts. I'm gonna go ahead and shade the panel here. And I've noticed once it gets down below 6 watts, it does not come back up, just like my test with the 36 watt panel. So there's 9 watts. And if I move and get rid of the shading, it goes back up to the 70 watts. We'll do that again. Down to 8 watts. Move the shading, comes back up, no problem. Now I noticed once it gets under 6 watts, it does not come back up from the shading. So let's get it down below 6 watts. There's 6 watts there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and move, and you could see that it doesn't come back up after it's shaded down below 6 watts. All right guys, so as you can see, it's still only getting 7 watts of input and it's been about 10 minutes now, so I'm going to go ahead and unplug it. And this is plugged into my X-Star panel. I'm going to plug it back in, and you'll see the power does ramp back up to about 70 watts. So big flaw of the Cellpowa. Hopefully they can fix that in a future update. All right guys, so that's 3 different panels I tried out with the BigBlue Cellpowa 500, and each time, once the input reached below 6 watts from shading, it never come back to full power, which is a huge problem, because if your panels get shaded and you're not around to unplug it and plug it back in for it to get full power again, then this thing is not going to charge up, and it's going to charge super slow. Now on a bright sunny day, you're not really going to have a problem, but like I said, if your panels get shaded, then you will. So for charging this BigBlue up, you're able to charge it at around 212 watts if you have all 3 inputs hooked up into this. Now you have to have the AC adapter plugged in, which will get you about 93 watts, and then you have 2 60-watt USB-C power delivery in and out ports, so you can either transfer power out at 60 watts each or in at 60 watts each, which is really nice. So you're able to get a max input of 212 watts. One limitation of this is that this input here for solar or the AC adapter is a maximum, from my testing, around 3.6 amps. So some of my solar panels, like the X-Star panel, I'm only able to get around 70 watts into it because of the amperage limit. Would have been nicer to see a higher amp limit, maybe around 7 or 8 amps, like most of my other power stations. So that is a limiting factor. And they are supposed to send me their Cellpowa100 panel. Whenever I receive that, I'm going to test that out in full sun to see what kind of input I can get into there with that, because it has a higher voltage than most of my other panels. So it should get more watts in there from that panel, and I'll put down there in the description of this video, if I don't make another one specifically on that panel, of how many watts I will be able to get into this. So make sure you guys check that out either in the comments or down below in the description. Now while this thing is charging, you are able to use the DC ports here, so you're able to use this to power a refrigerator or any other device that runs on 12-volt DC while it is charging. You can use the quick charge ports while it's charging, but you cannot use the AC outlet. This does not have 100% pass-through charging, so you cannot use the AC outlet here. You can see I can't even turn it on while it's charging, but the other ports you can. You could turn the USB on, you could turn the 12-volt on, and once this thing hits over 180 watts of either input or output, the fan will kick on. You can hear the fan on now. It's not too loud, pretty quiet. So that is pretty nice. If you're only running a 100-watt load or 120-watt load like a TV, the fan doesn't even run. But once you bump it up to get higher watts out, then you will see a difference. And I think my Cellpowa100 panel just showed up. That's what I was waiting for, guys. Just showed up. Perfect timing, guys. Unfortunately, today is a very cloudy day, so I don't think I'm going to be able to get much input into it, but I will try it out. And then I will test this again another day on a brighter sunny day. And like I said, I'll put that down below in the description of what kind of wattage I can get into it on a bright sunny day. All right, guys, so I got the Cellpowa100 panel opened up. Now, this thing came at the perfect time. So you do get a 10-foot SAE cord with this. Now, you don't get any solar adapters, so this will work with the BigBlue. It has a 55-25 output on the cord, but there is no other adapter. So if you do purchase this to use with other solar generators, you need to get your different adapters to work with those. And keep in mind that the open circuit current of this panel is 30.2 volts. So you have to make sure your power station can accept that voltage. Now the BigBlue can accept up to 30 volts, so it's meant to work with this perfect. Now my OPS solar generator, I believe, goes up to 30 volts, so I'm hoping that it will work with that one as well. But something like my Blue Eddy, it does not go up that high in voltage, so it wouldn't be able to be used with that, which is kind of a bummer. So the first thing about this panel that I noticed is there is nothing that holds it together. There's no magnets or clips or anything, so it kind of just flaps there. Now you could put a little carabiner or get something to tie these together with if you wanted to. And it is sort of like a rubberized panel feel to it. It's not a cloth feel, it's more of kind of hard, kind of rubbery, a little bit bendable, flexible on the ends here. I don't want to bend it or flex the cells, but like up by the handle. So this is like a rubberized, almost kind of feel panel, which is really nice because they do say this is water resistant. You can leave it out in the rain. Now you really can't submerge it, and this SAE plug here isn't really waterproof here. So you might want to watch that, maybe throw some tape around that. It would have been nice to see some standard MC4 connections, so they would have been waterproof, being that this panel is a little more waterproof and can be left out. So here's the design of it. You do have the two legs that flip out. Now there is really no different adjustments on these legs as far as your angle. You just flip them out there and your angle is your angle. You can't really change that on these. Now you could maybe possibly angle it up and it might stay, but you really can't angle it down anymore if you need to, unless you fold them in and just lay the whole panel down flat. And here are all the other specs on the BigBlue Solarpowa 100 solar panel. So that is pretty nice that it does have 4 holes on the outside corners that you can attach a carabiner or a string or something to hang this thing up either vertically or horizontally. And the open size of this panel is 42.5 inches by 22 to here, and then to the top of the handle about 25 inches. And folded up, the panel is 21 inches by 25 inches to the top of the handle. So let's plug this thing in and see what kind of power we can get on a very, very, very cloudy day. And it's pretty late in the day. I don't expect much out of this today. All right, guys, so very, very cloudy day today up behind those clouds. Again, I'm gonna do this on a brighter sunny day, but for now, on a cloudy day, I'm getting 6 watts of input on the BigBlue. So let's try the X-Star panel now. Unplug that, plug in the X-Star. And with the X-Star panel, I'm getting 10 watts. So I am getting 4 more watts out of the X-Star versus the BigBlue on a super, super cloudy day. So it's gonna be very interesting to see what I can get on a bright sunny day and which one of these panels are gonna produce the most into this solar generator. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the BigBlue because of the higher voltage, because of the lower amp input, but I'm also hoping to be able to test these into some of my other solar generators that go up to 30 volts. So make sure you guys subscribe and stick around if you want to see that in the future. Now the one limitation about this panel is there is no pouch for you to store your cables like there is on the smaller 36 watt one version. That would have been nice to see this pouch on here so that you could actually store your cables when this was folded up. And being that there is no magnets, this thing is able to open up maybe while you were carrying it on the bottom. You might want to put some kind of twist tie or some kind of tie on there just to keep that together when you're transporting it. It would have been nice to see maybe a little set of magnets on there. All right, guys, that's going to be about it for this video. Make sure you guys enter that contest if you want to try to win some free stuff. And if you enjoyed this content, please make sure you guys subscribe, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment down below. It really helps my channel out, and I will see you guys around on the next one. Thanks for watching, everyone. Phew.